And welcome back to Greenlands farm. Now the job I've got to do this morning is one that this is the only farm I've got as a current save game that I have to do this job on. And well, I'll show you what that is in just a moment. We'll just get this old Fiat Agri with the yellow bits and pieces started up. Okay. So I've got to turn my steering wheel on. Okay, now it's working. Let's put the weight down there. Time being, come back to that when I need it to use to load bales later. So yes, so all the old farm simulator games, I never ever used to have an automatic milk selling mod loaded. To begin with, there weren't such a mod, but then when it did come out, I actually quite enjoyed driving the milk tanker to pick up the milk anyway, so I never ever used an automatic milk selling mod in the old games. And because I'm trying to keep this one as much to the original as I played it as I possibly can, I have not downloaded an automatic milk selling mod. And I just went all the wrong way, so turn it around and go back. Without an automatic milk selling mod, it does mean they have to go around all the fields, pick up the milk and bring it all back to this big tank here, and then send the milk truck down to pick it up. Now, I don't know about in other overseas countries and things. In New Zealand, the dairy companies own all the milk tankers and they come out to the dairy farms. So when I've collected all the milk from the different paddocks here, and then I bring the milk tanker to collect it all, it wouldn't really be the farmer driving the milk tanker in real life, but I do kind of, I used to really enjoy doing this, even though it's slightly unrealistic. In real life you wouldn't drive around all your different paddocks in a tanker with a tanker trailer, because you'd move all the cows to the milking shed instead. And if there was some way to get all of the milk to all collect at the milking shed instead of at each individual paddock to be picked up, then trust me, I would do it that way, but there isn't, so I collect it from all the separate little paddocks along the way. Okay, and see, it's that big tank there, that big vertical tank. This is the one that the milk is being dropped into from the tanker trailer that I'm using. I think I'll grab the milk from the milking shed next. I must admit, having redone the ground textures of this yard, with painting over the concrete ground textures that it had with the dirt and putting bits of grass on, sorry, excuse me for that, certainly makes the whole farmyard look a lot older than when you download this map. So I'm certainly very, very pleased with how that's turned out. And as I said, it only took place in one shed. There's only one shed on this farm that actually looked too modern. I had to replace. I mean, obviously the milking shed looks very modern as well, but I want the milking shed to be modern because that is the only bit of this farm that I've sort of spent large amounts of money on, is a nice modern new milking shed, because it's fairly heavily dairy intensive, this farm, with over 100 head of cattle and things. It's quite a lot of cattle to be picking up the milk for and feeding every day and things, so the milking does take up a large chunk of your day on this farm, even though I've actually got more cot paddocks than I've had on any other farm. So on any other farm for quite some time. It just means I often have to slow down time when it's time to do planting or harvesting of crops, because there's so many crop paddocks. Although growing different crops in each paddock does mean they're not all ready at the same time. And head down here. One of the things I really do love about this farm is this long driveway here. And I love the fact that you have to go out onto the road to get to at least a couple of the paddocks. I'll try a bit close to the gate there. I try and do that with all my farms, where you can't just stay on the farm for everything. Now, just put the warning light on there if you're going on the road. Now, I understand that in the UK, you have to have your warning light on the tractor on if you're out on the public road. So that's what I always do. I only understand that from other people's farming videos. So that's what I believe the practice is in the UK. So certainly I follow that practice here. And then, where's this gate? It's just up here a wee bit. There it is. So we'll pull off to the side so cars can get past. Yeah, I absolutely. Oh, see that car there that I just ran out in front of. Oh, I was trying to check it's not quite far enough into the hedge because. Oh, come on, cars. There you go. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I really do love having to go out onto the actual road to get to some of my paddocks. This paddock I probably should have done a slightly better job of smoothing it around the feed trough area, and I might go back and do that later. So that looks a wee bit rough around there. Okay. So yes, in New Zealand, if you had a farm like this, and it's not uncommon at all, where you have some paddocks that are on the opposite side of the road and things, to get the cows from this paddock to the milking shed, you'd actually herd them all the way down the road using four-wheeled motorbikes, or probably side-by-sides on a modern farm now, but it would have been four-wheeled motorbikes, or before then trikes, and before then two-wheeled motorbikes, and the traffic would just have to stop and wait for you pretty much. Often the grass reserve on the side of the road, so between the, or we would have a fence rather than a hedge, but between the hedge on this farm and the edge of the road would be a bit more popular than that there, and sometimes you'd put one of these pigtail fences, electric fences, around and let the cows graze on the actual road reserve. It keeps that trimmed down so the council doesn't have to mow it, and it's basically a free source of grass because you're not paying for that land or anything. So that often gets done in New Zealand farms as well. Yes, I absolutely love this nice long driveway up here. You drive down to get to the farmhouse and the farmyard. That's, I think, one of the reasons I actually chose this map in the first place. It had this really nice long driveway, and I mean, this is still a very old map. As I said to you, it's one of the first, if not the very first, UK map that came out for FS22, so it's certainly quite an old map, and the detail on it is perhaps not quite as good as, say for example, Ballyspring has a lot better detail than this map does. In fact, even Arley Farm I would say has better detail than this map, but I really do like the layout of this map, so I do rather enjoy playing it. Now, I don't need to collect milk from the calf barn, which was the old milking shed, which has been converted into a calf barn now, because those calves aren't old enough to be producing milk, obviously, but the yearlings are now producing milk. I don't know whether yearlings actually should produce milk or not. I would have thought that because I know that a cow doesn't produce milk until after it's had its first calf, and I've got to be honest, I would have thought that they have to be about 18 months old, I think, before they start, before they can produce their first calf. So therefore, if the gestation period is 10 months, I would have thought they've got to be about 16 months old before they would start producing milk. Assuming that, sorry, what I'm saying, 2.5 years, so before they start producing milk. So I would have thought that it's, 1.5 or thereabouts, 18 months, and then they can get pregnant, and then 10 months gestation period, and that's when they can start producing milk. But on this game, at least, those yearlings are only a year old, and yet I noticed that they are producing milk, so we have to go and collect it. Probably not quite realistic, but it is what it is. I don't know if they produce as much as the other cows do, but it's okay, either way we will go and collect it. So these are my yearlings here. So normally when I'm coming up to the food troughs, it's to fill them with food, so I shot straight past with the milk gut pointers. Now the other thing with this farm compared to all my others, is I don't have water pumps connecting those water troughs to a water supply. So the same tanker here that I'm using to collect the milk right now, once I've collected all the milk and the milk truck's been, I will be using to take water around to all these same paddocks again and filling all the water troughs up, which is something else I don't do on my other farms because I have water pumps installed and the water troughs just stay full automatically. But yeah, this farm I didn't have those mods. I didn't have the water trough mod, and I didn't have the automatic milk selling mod loaded, so these were jobs I had to do every day along with the normal feeding of the cows and any field work that needs doing. But certainly not a complaint on my part, because I quite enjoy doing this. I have got, I think, 2 more paddocks to collect milk from after this one, and they're both ones that are on the farm itself. So this video is probably going to go slightly beyond my what might go slightly beyond my normal 20 minutes, and I apologise if it does, but that's the way it is. Okay. Back in there. Okay. And I can turn my beacon light off now. I actually find it easier with this driveway here to use the interior mode when I'm driving a tractor. The milk tank, I definitely can't use the interior mode going up here, because trying to get through those thin gaps where the cattle grates are, I need to be able to see what my trailer's doing at those. That's alright. Okay. And I think one of the reasons I enjoyed actually having the milk tanker to go and collect my own milk is because something I find with this farming game. Now, Fury Machine Gaming obviously doesn't find this, because he's got a series at the moment where he's got one tractor. He's got the bigger brother version of this, the Fiat 180/90, and that's the only tractor he's got on his farm, so he's always driving that same tractor. And even AK seems to often just drive the same, 3 or 4 vehicles on a farm. I personally find that gets a wee bit boring, so I normally have at least 2 tractors, if not 3 or 4 on a farm, even though I might be the only one actually working the farm, so it doesn't make financial sense to do so, because obviously you're paying repairs on every tractor you own every day, and you're paying daily maintenance, and you're having to do repairs and pay for diesel and everything else for every tractor you own. So obviously in real life you'd have the fewest number of tractors that you can readily get away with, but I often have a few more than what I absolutely need to have, just to have a bit of variety. So I mean, the Fiat Agris here were always my favourite tractors, right up until when for FS22 they started bringing out some really nice old Ford tractors. So I do really love the old Ford tractors as well, like I use them belly spring. So yeah, the Fiat Agris and the Fords will definitely be my favourite tractors, but it is nice to sort of mix them up a wee bit and drive different things. I'm just going to collect the milk from the last paddock now, and then we can grab the milk tanker, come and collect all the milk from the farm. I've lost count of how many times I would have gone through all these paddocks on this particular farm. As I said, I put about, well, yeah, it probably was about 1,000 hours in on this farm previously, so this farm and Belly Spring I've just put so much time in on, and that's the only two FS22 farms I put a lot of time in on. I've put some time in on a couple of older ones as well, but on FS22, this one in Belly Spring was the only maps I ever played with to a large extent. I mean, even now, like I've got the 3 maps working at the moment, this one, Belly Spring and Arley Farm, which is another Irish map. That Arley Farm I haven't put a lot of hours in on, and I do enjoy playing it, but in all honesty I'm not going to put a lot of hours in on that one still. That farm's actually a wee bit too small. I find there's just not enough to do on that farm, so I should have made it bigger, but the yard's very tight. And I do love that farm, but yeah, I'm never ever going to play it to the same extent as say I play this or Belly Spring. It will just be more of a mess around farm, and that's all it will ever be. And I'm thinking about starting a farm on Fairhead next, either Fairhead or Lady Hill. I'd quite like to do both of those two, which are both also Irish maps. But again, those ones would be more muck around farms. They're not going to be put 100,000 hours in on them like this one and Belly are. Yeah, I don't need to put this tanker trailer away because I need to go and collect water soon, but we'll just get out of the way enough for the milk truck. So now, got that done. So then we need to go back to the farmhouse here, and the farmer can have his breakfast while the milk tanker comes to collect the milk. But then what we still need to do, so I'm going to send my teenager down to the end of the driveway there to open the gate for the milk tanker that's coming. So, certainly, and it's probably the same throughout the whole world, but certainly in New Zealand, if you've got teenage kids and things, they'll be riding motorbikes all around the farm and helping out to earn some extra pocket money. And so that's how I imagine this bit here works. That we run the teenage kids coming down here to open the gate for the tanker driver. So I'll just park the motorbike there and open the gate, and then what I do is I go vehicles, and there it is, and enter vehicle. There you go, and then we'll just undo that again. Okay, so now the dairy board are going to be coming along in their tanker truck to collect the milk that I've got ready for them. And I'll just do an interior view so you can see the town as we go through it. Yeah, I did really enjoy on these older maps driving the milk tanker to go and collect the milk from the farm. As I said, it definitely wouldn't be the farmer doing this in real life. It would be the dairy board actually has drivers of their own that come around in the tankers to the different farms. And we're now heading through the town. So you can see there. And there's the housing estate on either side here. This is the only bit of the map really that couldn't really pass as New Zealand. We don't have houses like that in New Zealand. That's definitely very UK to look at. But, oh, what's happened here? What's on there? Oh, yes, that's one of the mods I've got downloaded, which I must have rained recently because it leaves puddles in all the low ground. I didn't realise all that bit of the map was low, because of course I wouldn't have had that mod when I used to play this map back in the day. That's a much newer mod. That's a rather big puddle there. I sort of left that mod in because it kind of adds to the realism, but maybe I should take it out, I'm not really sure. Now the truck swings right over here That car came along at just the wrong moment, so I'm going to struggle now. Aren't I? Yep, I sure am. Okay, I'm going to have to back out again. Right. Oh, come on. Let that red car go past. Yeah, oh. Get out of the car. So you can see why I can't use the interior view when driving the milk tanker down my driveway, because the gateway there, plus this one here, is also quite narrow. From memory, this one is actually harder to navigate in the other direction in the milk tanker. I want to be very careful not to drive on those fields to the right there, because I've got crops planted in those ones already, and I've got crop destruction turned on, so if I drive the milk tanker over those accidentally, then I'm going to end up killing some of my crops. Okay, here's my dog. I really do wish that your dogs could actually be more useful rather than just decorative. I really don't like the fact that the dog's just decorative, but I do love having the dog on the farm still, so I'm not going to go without it. And when I bring a grain truck to empty these big grain bins here, oops, I do exactly the same thing as what I've just done with the milk tanker. I just back it all the way up this drive pit, but only back as far as there to the grain elevator, whereas the milk truck obviously stood back right up to the big milk tank. Here's the trigger. That, right, there it is. Okay, and I want the milk. Oh, it's past it. Start. Yeah. I can't actually remember how many litres this trailer holds. So I've got 17,000 litres of milk there. Down here will probably tell me. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? Oh, yeah, that's it. Yep, if I go into there, here we go. Does that tell me? Oh, 32,000 litres, so no, it's not going to fill the trailer. Oh, there you go, it's just over half full. That's right. You still couldn't just collect the milk every second day, because of course milk would go off much quicker than that, so it has to be collected every day, even though it's only half filling the tanker. I don't know how close to filling a tanker one farm would actually get it, because I would imagine that I see the milk tankers coming around early in the morning anytime though, sort of out of town on country roads and things. There's quite a few tanker trucks out there, but I would imagine that one tanker truck could probably go to a number of farms collecting milk. I wouldn't imagine that, like I've got half of the tanker trailer here. Oops, going to change the view to get through this gateway. I wouldn't imagine that one farm would supply half a tanker's worth of milk each day. Imagine it would be a lot less than that. I would imagine a tanker truck would make it to quite a number of farms before it was filled, but it doesn't really matter for this particular one. The tanker truck's only going to the one farm anyway, because it's the only farm that's actually active on the map, so that's all good. And then heads back to the dairy. And that will be the milk part of my morning's jobs done. And then, as I said, the next job will be filling up the water troughs and then doing the food. Now, when I just change to the outside view here for a minute, so people just want to see how big this is. A whole yard of that dealership is all underwater, so it must all be a low point. Just trying to see how far under it's going. It's very hard to tell actually. Oh no, I can see that tyre there. Oh, it's not too deep. I think I'll leave that mod in for the time being. I may take it out later, we'll just see. But now we're through the puddles there. Go back to interior views, go through the town. through the town here. And there's turn off just up here. I need to take, is it? No, that's not it. That's a driveway to a house. Here it is. So turn here. Now of course on this map the hedges don't have collisions on them, so if the trailer clipped the hedge slightly I wouldn't even know, because I wouldn't even feel it. Straight through. It's funny because the hedge that's around the calf barn, separating that from the paddock behind it, I put all that hedging in, and that hedge does have collision, but all the hedge that was already in the game, none of that has collision. Now this here is the shed where you can take excess bales to sell. If you've got any excess bales, that's where you sell them. Those two little white tanks behind me are where you can sell the milk. It is quite funny, because normally you see, when I skip through a night, I always skip through nights, I hate working through the night times in the game, you suddenly make money every night. And this one you don't. You lose money because you're paying repair costs on vehicles and everything like that, and it's not until you actually sell the milk here that you make the money. So on this particular farm, unlike on my others, I need to actually remember to leave enough money in the bank overnight, not try and pay off too much of my overdraft all at once, so that I can actually, I've got enough money to get through the night without being bankrupt. And then, okay, so there you go. I had 4,000, I've just sold $13,000 of milk, so I've now got 17,000. Again, I'm sure that's slightly unrealistic, because you wouldn't be making $13,000 a day for milk sales, but not a great deal I can do about that. I'm not going to go into the XML and try and change the price of milk. It's more hassle than it's worth. All I'll do instead is, if I pay off my overdraft too soon, I'll just take some money out of the game again. It's funny, because whenever I set up a new map, I normally give myself a few $1 billion when I'm setting up the map, so I can get the paddocks I want, build any buildings I want, get the farm set up to how I want it to start. And of course, all of my farms are always living environments, so they do change over time, and things will get added to them and changed on them, but I get them built to how I want them to be, at least for the start of the game, and then I take whatever money is left of those millions of dollars out again, and normally I never ever add money after that. I do take money out quite often if I find the farming game gets quite boring if you're too rich. So I like to always be on the bare bones of my bum sort of thing on this game. So I always start the game after I've set it up how I want it. I normally start with $10,000 cash and a $200,000 overdraft, and that's certainly what I started this one with. $200,000 overdraft and 10,000 in cash, and then from there I just work at getting the overdraft paid off, and once it's paid off, if there's nothing I'm desperately wanting to spend money on, like I haven't decided to extend the farm or upgrades on vehicles or anything else I've discovered doesn't quite work how I want it to, so I need to change it. If I sort of run out of things that need money spent on them like that, then I just go into the XML and I give myself another nice big overdraft again, so that I can slowly start working my way back out of debt again. But yeah, often there will be things I want to buy or whatever. Now, I do recall that this tank here holds both milk, herbicide and water, I think it is. Is that the three things it can hold? Yeah, it was the three things. There's a wee bit of water left over, which I'll just put in the tank there, when I filled up my troughs yesterday, so in-game yesterday, not real-time yesterday. So I just chucked in there so the tanker was empty to put milk into. So that's where I just grabbed that water out first, and then here is where the water tap is to actually fill the tanker. And I won't make you, this video is almost half an hour long already, so I'm not going to make you will sit through me going to fill all my water troughs, which will just be basically exactly the same thing as how I just collected all my milk, but I will just fill up the one here for the greenhouse before I bid you all adieu. Again, because I have water pumps for my water troughs on both my other maps, I also have water troughs, a pump, sorry, for the greenhouses I have as well. But this one, because I don't have pumps for the paddocks, I don't have pumps for the greenhouse there either, so that one gets filled up every day as well, just like how the troughs do. And okay, so I shall bid you all adieu now and catch up with you all again later. Thanks. Bye.